started a big gold rush.
And I was later told that if I hadn't have done that, my baby would be dead.
That's a lot of things to use this little Rocky Mountain. So we don't want to take it to cut it up.
My family really opposed then this mining.
Located in north-central Montana, Fort Belknap Reservation has been the permanent home to the Assiniboine and Gros Ventre tribes since 1889. Governing a population of approximately 3,000 people, the Tribal Council is made up of 6 Assiniboine and 6 Gros Ventre members, elected to represent the issues facing the tribes. A recurring theme within the Tribal Council is a controversy surrounding gold. Like so many other reservations throughout the United States, once the discovery of gold was made on tribal territory, the mineral rights and/or land was quickly manipulated out of reservation hands. Being no different here, within a year of its discovery in the late 1800s, government officials were sent out to obtain an agreement. The tribal leaders were led to believe they were signing a 10-year treaty, and then the land would be returned to them unharmed. With limited English and no concept of money, an agreement was made strictly stipulating that it in no way included the sale of the trees, the grass, nor the waters. Nearly 100 years have passed since that time, and the descendants of those present at that signing are still waiting for their sacred mountains to be returned to them, waiting for the supplies and payments to be made. As you travel eastward from the Rocky Mountain front in north-central Montana, you encounter several small ranges of mountains rising like islands out of the flat plains. These are the Little Rocky Mountains, also called the Island Mountains. Residents here will tell you the battle over mining rights has been taking place since gold was first discovered in the Little Rocky Mountains near the turn of the century. Once belonging to the reservation, the area now being mined was negotiated out of Indian hands in the controversial Grinnell Agreement of 1895. Pike Landusky, illegally trespassing on the land, sent word out that there was gold to be found, and within a year of the discovery, government officials were sent out to obtain an agreement, coercing the tribal leaders to sell 40,000 acres of land or face starvation.
and he discovered the gold up there and started a big gold rush. And people came in from all over. And that was when they forced us to give up these mountains. Telling us that they would take our rations away, telling us that they would not help us if we did not forfeit our mountains to them, certain areas. So the old timers did that. They gave them certain areas of the mountains up there in return to be fed rations like beef, cheese, hardtack crackers. They said if we didn't give them areas of the mountains where they wanted, they would close all that and not give us anything. So in a way, they just kind of tricked us into giving them these mountains, of what we did give them. It was gold that started it way back then. And it is gold yet today that they're digging up there that is putting us in danger of being poisoned by cyanide and heavy metals. But every bit of it was done in trickery. It wasn't never nothing honest about it. It was always done in a cunning way. It was always like they took the rest of the United States away from us. It was all done in that same way. There was nothing never legal about it. And they never really cared. As long as they got it any way that they can.
Only 6 miles from the mine is the town of Hayes.
I couldn't get her to breathe. In the meantime, the only thing that I could think to do was to grab a handful of snow and put it in my baby's face. And the snow shocked her into taking a deep breath of air. And I was later told that if I hadn't have done that, my baby would be dead. And off and on, since she's been born, she's had hard seizures. She's stopped breathing. I've taken her to the doctors, to neurologists, and they told me that, at first they told me that the left side of her brain wasn't growing. And it was 6 weeks later I had to take her back because her seizures were getting increasingly worse. So I took her back to Helena, and they told me that she had atrophy. And that's shrinkage of the brain. And they told me they didn't know what was causing it. They've done every possible test that they could do that might cause it, and they've all come back negative. And my firm belief is that it's the mind that's doing this to my daughter. They've also told me that she'll be left retarded because of all the problems with her brain. To this day, it scares me. I talked to some of the EPA people on cyanide and what effects it could have on humans. And I was told that there was not enough studies done to know what levels of cyanide are tolerable for human consumption. if there are any levels tolerable. They've told us that there are no high levels of lead in our waters, but I believe there is, because out of 7 children, and the last child is born with all these problems. And the year that I was pregnant, which was '89, is the year that they had 2 to 3 spills from a mining company, and the public wasn't made aware of it at all. Just from what I could see living here all of my life, there's been an increase in heart problems, strokes, stillbirths, miscarriages, people losing their hair for no apparent reason, children having seizures for no reason. There's so much, and when you ask the mining company anything about this, they won't tell us what's happening.
This land, the mountain is precious to me, you know. We get everything out of it, dry wood, and use it for wood in the winter time. They bring it and cut it, and it's for the winter. So that's a lot of things we use this little Rocky Mountain. So we don't want to take it to cut it up. Just leave it like that. It's the way it is. We don't want no mine there. So just keep it like that.
December 7th, 1940, war was declared. And all us Indians here that was in the army, they shipped us overseas. And there was a lot of them guys that never came back from over there. This country around here was all in the Indian country at one time. And yet we had to go over there and fight for this land. And the white men have now come along and want to raise hell with the best part of the reservation here, the way I look at it. There's a lot of them fellas that never came back from over there. Maybe they was better off by not coming back.
The Zortman Mining Company in their Landusky mine is cutting away approximately 17,400 acres of the Little Rockies in their search for gold. This brings to mind one of the major differences in mentality between Native American respect of the land and the greed of private industry's quest for personal gain at the expense of environmental damage that is irreversible. On one side of this mountain you'll find ceremonial healings, fasting, and sundancing taking place. The other side is stripping the land using dynamite and lethal poisons that are killing the wildlife and leaving the land barren. The process which is used at the Landusky mine for the removal of the finest particles of gold from the earth involves laying leaching pipes on the ground and covering them with the crushed ore from the mining operation. This ore is treated with a solution of sodium cyanide to extract the gold. The giant leach pads which result dwarf the almost steady stream of huge trucks bringing ore for processing.
The tailings you see there ran down from up the creek. And as you go up, you'll see a bunch of washes there. And the tailings are still washing. I don't know but the mining company may have put a dam in there, I don't know. But it went all the way up under that road there, right about where that truck's coming down there. That's where the ice cave was. And that water that ran from the spring came down under the tailings, and it surfaced right down here where that tree is sticking out. There was no tailings that far down. The old log dam that was in there broke, and that's where the tailings all came down into the creek. The slopes on these fields, you see where the trucks run below that road, you could see in there that they're all washing out now. Well, all that stuff's going to come right down into the King Gulch here, and it'll be down in the creek before long. That's the mining company put in a 2-to-1 slope, and they were supposed to be 3-to-1. The spring surfaced right there that fed this King Springs, or King Gulch here. There was quite a head of water came out of there. We used to catch fish, get medicines and everything along this little valley here. But we can't do that anymore because that whole bottom is tailings. And from here it runs all the way down into the town side of Hayes and beyond. The tailings, they've reached that far now. Every year with a runoff, there's a new bunch of tailings that go down the creek. Filled in all the beaver dams, killed all the fish. I don't know if there's even any deer that live in here much yet. I kind of doubt it. A lot of fish up there, man. That old yellow moss there, you know.
Yeah, you can just see the difference. Yeah. Moss is dying on one
creek.
side and still green on the other side.
And people from the agency don't notice that. This is this one on my right comes out of the North Fork Creek. That's the moss in the bottom of the creek. And it's nice and green. It's good fresh water. And my left hand comes out of People's Creek, Little People's Creek. And that moss is all dead. It's just yellow. There's no color to it.
The noticeable effect of I call it the algae growth. Algae growth is a living organism. Normally it's green. A dead algae growth will turn a brown or a gold or black. So what we're seeing, what we could be seeing at this point in time, is the result of the cyanide-laced tailings that are in here that's killing the algae. That at this point, a year ago, we told the tribe that we were interested in the health aspect, well water only. Perhaps they should get the Montana Fish and Game to find out what happened to the fish. And also they could tell you what happened to the algae.
A letter from the Fort Belknap Community Council Tribal Health Department, dated June 15, 1990, reads as follows. As shown on the water analysis, this surface water source is not recommended for domestic use and drinking. The total solids and sulfates exceed the maximum recommended by the U.S. PHS for public water supplies. If financial assistance is not available for treatment of these parameters, I would recommend hauling water for cooking and drinking from an approved water supply. If treatment is not feasible and there are no other sources of water that are approved and potable, then a pH cistern and water hauling tank may be the best alternative. Please do not hesitate to make inquiries to myself or the Tribal Housing Authority if you need further assistance. Sincerely, John Holland, Acting Tribal Sanitarian.
And one thing I was told about pollution and contamination of water, the first things that disappear are the frogs. And there used to be frogs, even where we're standing here, they'd be jumping all over here. A lot of frogs. There's no frogs here, very few, if any. And they used to come out and get minnows from this creek to fish in other streams. And you don't hardly see any minnows here anymore in this creek. Something is killing them now, making them disappear. And this mining corporation up here denies all that. We don't know anything, us Indians, we don't know anything about these chemicals, and but we know that there's something happening. We know that. We know that much about the water and the land. I have a little garden down here that I irrigate out of this creek. I pump it into there. So far it's been okay. We haven't turned blue, or our hair hasn't started falling out yet, so maybe they're waiting for that before they do something. And it'd be too late, you know.
As I think of all the teachings my mother and father have taught me concerning the sacred objects and areas, I remember the red-hot rocks. The sacred sweat lodge. The sacred pipe and sweetgrass.
Here we have some of the sacred area where we still fast today. These cloth hanging in these trees are offerings, spiritual offerings on behalf of the sacrifices of fasting without food or water for 4 days. To learn more about the Creator and His creation, to continue the traditions of the elders, to pass on these goods hanging in these trees are offerings to the spiritual connection we try to keep with the Mother Earth and these mountains and the Creator who created all these things. We like to remain to be close to nature, and at the present time we feel these mining in these mountains are a threat to this, preserving our tradition. Right here we have where there was a lodge put up. We call it a fasting lodge. Right in this bare spot right here between the trees. And different tribes and different people come from all over to fast and join us in our ceremonies. But as you can see, it's hard for us to document these things because the nature grows back. A lot of times we don't leave evidence of anything to document, but the nature grows back and takes over. Okay, here we have one of our old ceremonial grounds. This is what we would call a fasting lodge. And some of us that are on Loud Thunder, we fasted here for 4 days.
We're here with the children right now with a smudging ceremony. And the smudging ceremony is giving back the traditional and the spiritual beliefs of the people to the children, because it's where it all starts, is with the children. And this smudging ceremony is a way to cleanse and prepare your body and heart and spirit for the Creator so you can become one. The sage and the sweetgrass that has been used since the beginning of time is a way of bonding with Mother Earth and the Creator so that you can feel at one and become a part of that cycle of life. Life is a cycle, a sacred hoop with no beginning and no end. There is a place for everyone and every being on this earth. For all has life, the trees, the stones, water, birds, bees. They all have a place in this circle, and this circle must be protected, and it must be brought back to the people.
The spiritual messages my ancestors received and placed on stone in caves. I remember.
My name's Joe Azure. I'm the chairman of Red Thunder Incorporated. We're here today at the Chief Nosey Center in Lodgepole, Montana. We're gathered here to protest the destruction, what we see as a destruction of the Little Rocky Mountains. These mountains have been sacred to the people here, the Gros Ventre and Assiniboine tribes, for many generations. And, Red Thunder was recently formed about a year and a half ago to try to preserve these mountains, these Little Rocky Mountains, from any further mining. And what we're worried about is the way they're mining. They're tearing everything up, tearing the trees up, polluting the water, killing the wildlife, the fish, the beaver, removing all the trees, many different things. That's why we see a lot of destruction. And we're worried about it. We're gathered here to protest that. We'll be here for 4 days in the Lodgepole area to protest the destruction of the Little Rockies. And we hope that the people, citizens of the United States, will hear us and help us to put a stop to this destruction, massive destruction.
My name is Paul Zog. I'm an attorney with the Land and Water Fund in Boulder, Colorado. We're a nonprofit environmental law center. And along with Don Marble, who's a private lawyer up in Chester, Montana, we've been representing Red Thunder in an appeal of the latest expansion of the Landusky mine in Montana, which is near the Fort Belknap Indian Reservation. The mine is located on federal and state lands, and in February of this year, the United States Bureau of Land Management recommended approval for the latest expansion, which is called the Sullivan Park Leach Pad expansion of the mine. Sullivan Park Leach Pad expansion is a cyanide leaching mine, which uses cyanide solution to extract gold from large heaps of ore which are collected by the mine. The Sullivan Park Leach Pad is a 100-acre area of land which they've cleared away and will, over a course of a number of years, load with ore in 20-foot lifts, which will eventually reach a height of over 400 feet and contain an estimated 50 million tons of ore, and all this ore will be doused with cyanide, and the gold will be extracted from it. Well, in February of this year, the Federal Bureau of Land Management recommended approval of this expansion based on an environmental assessment which is done under the authority of the National Environmental Policy Act. An environmental assessment is a short form of what should have been done, which is a longer environmental study, which is called an environmental impact statement. 10 years ago, the Landusky mine was first approved on this site. At the time, people were told that the life of the mine, it would take up to 530 acres. Here we are 10, 11, 12 years later since the mine was approved, and the mine is now at 1,200 acres and expanding. In the meantime, we haven't seen an environmental impact statement done since 1979. And what has happened is, and we believe illegally, is that by each bit and piece, the cumulative impacts to the environment have grown larger and larger, and they've never been adequately studied by the federal government as required by federal law. We filed an appeal with, it's an administrative appeal with the Interior Board of Land Appeals in early March, and we requested a stay of the expansion. To this point, we have had no ruling on that, but our appeal has continued, and we expect a ruling on the entire appeal from IBLA sometime in the months ahead.
Red Thunder was created to help protect these sacred mountains, the sacred planet, and the most important female in our lives, which is this Mother Earth, because all our lives depend on it. And we're thankful for the past, our ancestors of the past who have passed on these teachings to us. And we would like to encourage that our children, that they could carry on these teachings to preserve this planet, and that they could understand and respect this Mother Earth, so their future generations, which are going to live off of this planet, that they'll have a good life and they'll have healthy minds, and they don't have to worry about poison or all the chemicals involved and all the pollution.
Hello, boys and girls. Hello to future generations that are listening and watching this tape. My name is Billy Two Rivers, and I'm from the Mohawk community of Kahnawake, which is located near Montreal in Quebec, Canada. I'm here to talk about a situation, and a very, very important situation that concerns yourselves as the future people, the future leadership of this land and this country. I'm talking about a life and death situation. And I'll explain myself what I mean by life and death. Behind us are the beautiful mountains called the Little Rocky Mountains. And the Little Rocky Mountains are being slaughtered, are being destroyed, and are being killed. And that is the death part of it. The life part of it is giving life to a company, to a multinational, to a corporation that is raping Mother Earth, taking and stripping the land, and in a sense, destroying your future. I think one of the things that I'm trying to create now is an awareness to you as young people, because you do have a responsibility and you do have a future to look forward to. We are trying, as the present leaders in the 90s, to try and secure for you, to try and keep for you Mother Earth, so that you may also enjoy her. But today there are large companies that are destroying, that are polluting, that are killing the earth that is supposed to be yours in the future. In our area, we have a large mega project that is being pushed through by the multinationals, by the government of Canada, by the province of Quebec, to flood a large area of land that belonged to the Cree people, the Cree nation of Quebec. And they are destroying the land. They are destroying the future. And they don't really care. And I think that you, as the leadership of the future, have to take your responsibilities and do whatever you can in the future to ensure that there is a stop put to the environmental destruction of Mother Earth. In boardrooms today, in boardrooms of multinational corporations, there are men that sit there and mortgage your future. Find out who these men are and question them about their right to destroy your future, your land, and your heritage. I think that the important thing here is to find out more information for yourselves. Read and inquire and trying to find the answers that will help you and will help the future generations to put a stop to the destruction that is going on. The corporations do not have a right to destroy the land, the environment, Mother Earth. This belongs to you. And if you feel it belongs to you, then protect it.
My name is Jackie Bisley, and I came out from New York City to the Fort Belknap Indian Reservation to show my solidarity with the women and children of what they're going through here. There's a South African expression for the women that I'd like to share, which says, "You have touched and struck the women, now you have struck a rock, you have dislodged a boulder and you will be crushed." As women, we recognize and understand that the most important female is the Mother Earth. And our relationship with the Mother Earth is sacred and inseparable from all our other relationships. She protects and nurtures us and gives us strength. She shares her knowledge so that we understand the sacrifice and honor and the power of giving life. When the Mother Earth is abused and violated, women can feel the pain. It is like watching your own grandmother being raped.
We feel that our children, we have to think about their future, because they're the ones who are going to live here after we're gone. And we feel that it's our responsibility to provide for them a good, clean earth, and to make an effort to keep this earth clean so that they'll be able to live a good, healthy life and have healthy minds. And just like our ancestors have done for us in the past, and we owe it to them to do the same thing and to think about the unborn children and their future generations, healthy lives, and teach them to respect this Mother Earth and to respect themselves and to carry on all the teachings of the Creator.
Let us raise our children and our grandchildren in our traditional ways. Don't kill what we have had all our lives. Don't make us move. With that yellow metal in the ground. It's been there always. Let it stay there. It's not hurting anybody or anything to stay there. But what's hurting is them taking it out. They're killing what we have always lived for, what we've prayed for, that our people will come back to the traditional ways. And they're killing that.
I came back to my traditional ways. I've been to the mountains to fast, and I've been up on Mission Peak to fast, and with the mines there was a lot of interference. It just broke my heart to be up there for a day and pray. But I was told to go up there from the grandfathers and my grandmother, Mother Earth, to go up there and pray for our mountains and our people. Pray for the things, what they're doing to us, and what our people are allowing them to do, some of them. I just hope that our people will come to their traditional Indian way and try to help our mountains, to preserve them, to save them.
I think it's important that the children know that we did everything that we could in our day, in our time, to pass these teachings on and try to preserve as much as we could.
It has been very interesting to work with you. Indian spirituality and teachings are not necessarily religion itself. It is way of life. The system is for all of the plant life, all of the animal life since the beginning of time. The Indians were the original instructions. They were told to respect the environment, which they did. In the last 500 years, anyone who came to this country benefited all the teachings. But it is regretfully to say, in this day and age, the original, the Creator's civilization is gone. What are we doing with the Mother Earth?